Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Sports Timeout. We're out here at Stevenson High School and we're talking football, previewing our area teams and how they'll look in the 2009 football season. We'll have capsules on 5 teams in this edition of Sports Timeout: Stevenson, Warrenmont, Sterling Heights, Henry Ford II, and Utica. This year, unlike any other year, we've got talent off the charts. Several Division I players, probably more Division I players coming off these 5 teams than we had come out of Macomb County in the last 2 or 3 years combined. So we're talking about some great individuals and some great teams. Should be a very exciting season. After we capsule each of these teams, Kevin Lozon from The Source and I will give you our impact player for each of the 5 schools. We'll also give you our one to watch, a player or players we think could make or break a successful or unsuccessful season for these teams. After that, we'll give you our predictions, our records, where we think each of these teams are going to finish, if they're playoff bound or not. And finally, at the end of the show, we'll run down the MAC Red, MAC White, and MAC Blue. But we start out with a look at a school that's got a bit of a new look this year. New coach, new program, new philosophy down at Henry Ford II. Last season, Henry Ford II had a bit of a split personality. The Falcons were solid outside of their division, finishing 3-1, but were humbled inside the MAC Red, going winless and finishing in last place. With that in mind, the Falcons have a new leader and a new look in 2009. Todd Winters takes over for Jay Anthus with a very simple game plan: power football.
We're old school, we're single wing. We bring everybody to the party. We're down blocking, we're tackling. It's a team philosophy. Be where you're at on time, every time.
I'm excited because I think we're gonna grind everyone down. I don't think anybody's gonna be able to hang with us when we get to the fourth quarter.
Winters comes over from New Haven and has twice been an assistant at Ford. The fact that he has taught at Ford for the last 17 years has made for an easy transition, but not easy practices.
He's a very strong-hearted, knows what he wants, and if you don't do it his way, it's not gonna fly. You're not gonna play.
They have strong minds. They want you to do what they want you to do. No deviation.
It's a really grinding system. It's pretty much brute force.
In all honesty, when we came out here, the first few days, we were a little weak. But every day we're getting stronger, and we're just working on it.
Our team will never get tired. At the rate we're going now, if we keep going, we won't get tired.
Winters is trying to instill toughness and sheer will in his team with designs on running the ball early and often. A style Winters feels will keep the Falcons more competitive in the Red Division.
Last year when I was at New Haven, we had 20 guys on our team and we were playing against teams with 50 and 60 guys. And we needed something to compete. And as single wing, we were competitive every game. We have to change the mental aspect of Falcon football. Last year and the years past, we're in a 2-point stance. We're in all 3-point stance. We're all firing out. The mentality of that Rocky thing is Vince Lombardi. We come from that era. And the 4 horsemen, Notre Dame stuff, that's what we're running. So we just have to change the mindset of these guys, and it's coming along.
If Ford wants to run the ball, the offensive line will have to stay healthy and produce. Darren DeVogt and Kyle Unruh should anchor the left side of the line, where Trevor Specratelli, Zach Orris, Will Brazier, and Preston Strom are all candidates to start on the rest of the O-line. Under center this year will be junior Aaron Cox. Cox moves over from tight end, and at 6'4", 240 pounds, he'll be an imposing blocker, or as Winters puts it, a running back who throws sometimes.
He's young, but he's real smart, big, knows what he's doing, and played varsity last year, so he has experience.
I believe you could put anyone back there as long as they run hard and work hard. I think you can put anyone back there, and they can run it well.
Sophomore Mike Saba will back him up, and fellow super soft Lester Olson will start at the wing.
There's no question. We have great quality underclassmen. The sophomore class is excellent. The freshmen are going to come along. Our juniors are incredible, and we have a small set of seniors. They're pretty good too.
Leading Ford's ground attack this year will be playmaker Terry Gissendanner, who moves over from wide receiver to get more touches for the Falcons.
Before the last 2 seasons, I played running back all my life. So I'm used to it. I'm ready to go.
Is Terry going to get it out there being a receiver? No. But will he get this direct snap thing? Yes, a lot. You know, and he's behind 900 pounds of beef going through. So he just has to be patient. He's learning that.
Kyle Campbell and Mike Krasmowski will also see plenty of time in the Ford backfield. Defensively, Ford was a mess last year, giving up 32 points per game. And the Falcons know improvement in that area is a must, despite an overwhelming lack of speed.
Defensively, we don't want to be movable. We're going to hopefully run the clock on offense. That's going to be our best defense. But on the defensive side of the ball, they're going to know their job so they really can react.
Cox and DeVogt will anchor the defensive line, while Winters feels confident in the linebacking core of Olson, Mike Krasmowski, Campbell, and Vinny Stabile. Matt Krasmowski, Terry Gissendanner, Keith Lamb, Mike Saba, and Eric Posovitz hope to provide both a new look and better results in the Falcons secondary. Ford has long been a team in search of a division, often too good for the MAC White, but also unable to compete in the MAC Red. If Ford can find some new success in the Red, the playoffs might not be far behind.
We want to get to the playoffs. That's what we're aiming for.
We definitely want to get the teams in the red. That's our main concern. We're not just looking to make it to the playoffs. We're looking to go a little deep in the playoffs, if not to the state championship.
I want to be able to compete every single game and say, hey, we had a shot to win that one, or we won that one.
As we take a look at the Falcons' schedule, it's actually a pretty favorable one. They open up at home against L'Anse Creuse North, then their first of 2 Saturday afternoon dates during the regular season as they go at Romeo, then the Battle of Runkle Field as they face Stevenson, then a toughie against Roseville, a good team out of the MAC Blue, then another Saturday at Eisenhower, then they finish up the season at Anchor Bay, hosting Dakota October 9th, then hosting the Big Reds of Chippewa Valley, and they wind up the regular season on the road at Grosse Pointe North.
My impact player for the 4-2 Falcons this year is Terry Gissendanner Jr. The senior running back has to be able to run the ball and find holes to move the chains for the Falcons to have success this year.
My impact player for the Falcons this year is quarterback Aaron Cox. At 6'4", 230 pounds, this junior is a load to bring down in Ford's new running attack. But he also has a cannon for an arm, and if teams try to stack the box against the Ford running attack, Cox could beat them deep down the field. He'll also be a player to look out for on the Falcon defensive line.
My player to watch out for this year for the 4-2 Falcons is a whole group of people. It's the offensive line. If 4-2 wants to move the change this year and keep the other team's offense off the field, the offensive line is definitely going to have to open up holes for Terry Gissendanner Jr. and guys like Aaron Cox at quarterback. That's what's got to happen for the Falcons this year if they're going to be successful.
My player or players to watch this year for Henry Ford II are the Krasmowski brothers, particularly on defense. Last year, Henry Ford II was very slow defensively, and they didn't tackle very well. The result was a lot of teams getting a lot of big plays on the Falcons. They're slow again this year, so that means they're going to have to tackle. And Mike Krasmowski, the linebacker, and Matt Krasmowski, a safety/DB, are going to have to step up their game and be big-time hitters and wrap up on defense.
First-year coach Todd Winters and his Falcons are in the tough MAC Red division this year, and it's going to show in their record. I have the Falcons listed at 3-6.
I think the Todd Winters era gets off to a good start for Henry Ford II this year. I like their ground attack. They may struggle early on in the season, but once they get it down pat, they're going to be tough to beat. As far as the defense goes, sometimes the best defense is a good offense. I think Ford will grind up yards and clock offensively, keeping that defense off the field. And I think Ford is playoff bound this year. I picked them overall to go 6-3. Last year, Warren Mott stepped up from the MAC Blue and more than held their own, winning the MAC White Championship for the first time in school history before just missing out on their first ever playoff win after getting edged out by Cass Tech in the first round of the postseason.
It was a really good season. It's everything you could hope for in the regular season. Of course, there's a bunch of mistakes here and there you capitalize on, but for the most part, we came up to the white, made the improvements, and adjusted really well.
We've come a long way from our early years. The school's grown in numbers. We're getting to the point where there's actually kids coming here, for football as well as the academics that we have here. So it's a good situation, and we've grown a lot.
The Marauders are again talking playoffs in 2009, thanks to a wealth of talent returning at the skill positions.
With the amount of experience we have in our senior class and the key contributors that are juniors that will fill in, we feel really good about this year's squad.
Ben Philemon returns at quarterback. Last year, he successfully made the transition from running back to signal caller, throwing for over 2,700 yards and 24 touchdowns. He can also still run, rushing for over 400 yards and 10 more scores.
Coming from running back to quarterback, I think he's doing good. Throwing me the ball, CJ, Tarico, he's doing a good job.
I like Ben as my quarterback. He's a good quarterback, nice reads, throw deep routes. He can run the ball, as you can see. Yeah, he's smart on the field.
It helps us out a lot that he can run with the ball and also throw it. And he's just gotten better and better, and this year's going to be even better.
Money player, really gets after it, and great leader on the field, leads by example, and throw the deep ball and also has a good touch, short touch, and can also do well in the run games.
Back with Philemon on offense are three key weapons. Martez Kelly is one of the top wide receiver prospects in the state, hauling in 45 balls for 951 yards and 8 touchdowns as a junior.
Martez Kelly has played 2 years solid of varsity football and had like 2 blown assignments and hasn't come off the field for us in 2 years of varsity offense.
Tarico Searcy is also back and provides another home run threat as he had over 600 yards and a team-high 10 touchdown receptions last year.
My role on the team, I think, is like short routes, big plays, turn short routes to big games.
Tarico is a threat, anytime he touches the ball, and we have to make sure that we get enough touches for him and spreading the ball. And he's one of the first guys that we say, okay, has Tarico gotten what we need out of him? Not because he's a selfish player, because Tarico will be happy with 2 or 20 touches a game, but for the best of our team is that we're getting him the ball because he can make things, explosive things happen.
Last but not least is Scout Sync's 4-star college prospect, CJ Alanian, who provides a large target at 6'4", 230 pounds. As a junior, he had over 500 yards and 3 scores.
He has a ton of Division I offers, and he understands the bullseye's on his back, and everybody's going to be coming to get him every game. And he's up to that challenge, and really like what he's done. He's more importantly, aside from his athleticism, his ability on the field, he's a great leader and a great kid. So that makes it a lot easier. He's not arrogant at all, and really gets along with the rest of the guys. Where there could be animosity there because of all the love he's getting, but I don't feel any at all there. When and a lot of it's because how he carries himself.
The backfield has some new faces, as Martez Kelly's twin brother Maurice and centerline transfer Javon Steele will pace the Marauder ground game. The line is led by returning tackles Anthony Best and 6'8" Joe Asbury. Kyle Gray, James Ross, Steve Dukowski, and Anthony Whitman will also play on the line.
If our offensive line comes around the way we believe it will, and what we're trying to do, we really think that there's going to be a lot of good things will happen.
It all starts up front, so if we got the best skill guys around, then they're not going to be anything if we're not taking care of business up front.
It should all add up to another explosive year after Mott averaged over 30 points a game in 2008.
Yeah, we're very excited.
There's nobody that can match up with us. They can't take Tarico, me, Tez, Adam. They can't take nobody.
On the other side of the ball, the defensive line should be the best in the division, with returning starters Joe Asbury and Anthony Best, not to mention Alanian playing the defensive end position that he's most known for.
He just brings the energy and intensity, and when games come, he can just take them over and no one can stop him, and he really brings us some momentum.
It's game time. Once I'm on the field, it's game time. I let everything loose, just play hard, try to make plays.
Returning at linebacker are Adam Schwarb and Ben Melly, as the team needs to improve against the run.
It's about as crucial as anything. I mean, those games we did lose were high-scoring games for them too, so if we can cut that down, cut the mistakes down, then I think we're good to go.
I think stopping the run is always a major focus, and you have to do that. And we were very hit and miss at that last year. At times we did a nice job at, other times we were sieve. We played a lot of younger guys up front last year, and at times it showed. And we're very, a senior-dominated defense this year, and we have high expectations for them. And no matter what the year is, it doesn't matter how much people throw the ball, how much spread, proliferates in high school football nowadays. It always starts with stopping the run. If you don't stop the run, nothing else matters.
The secondary is led by safety Maurice Kelly. He's joined by brother Martez, returning starter Cersei, and Jake Asbury.
Conditioning is going to be a factor, and we've been really stressing that to tell them that some of you guys aren't coming off the field much, and you have to be able to respond when you're playing against teams that are two platooning and have their guys fresh. But they've really responded to that challenge. I believe at this point.
After 3 straight playoff appearances and 3 straight first-round exits, Mott players are hoping to make a little school history.
Warren Mott, we have never school history won a playoff game. This year we're looking forward to winning one.
I mean, taking it there and taking a step past that's one thing, but we want to go all the way with this.
In order to accomplish that, they have to focus on their daily work. They got to focus on practice tomorrow and practice the next day, and they have to focus on the scrimmage, and they got to go to our first game. They can't worry about those playoff games in week 10 until we've accomplished what we have to in the regular season as far as qualifying, and more importantly, to continue to get better every day. If they don't, if we stagnate and don't get better, then that decreases our chances of pushing in the playoffs. If we get better every day and have a great focus about that, then all the rest will take care of itself.
Mott's 2009 schedule opens up with a big MAC Red foe as they go on the road to face Romeo, then Utica, Anchor Bay, and L'Anse Creuse North and Fraser all winnable games, then another MAC Red test against Chippewa Valley, then October 9th on the road against Grosse Pointe North. That could decide the MAC White Division. October 16th, fellow Warren Con rival Cusno comes to the school, and they end against yet another MAC Red opponent, very strong non-conference, as they play at Stevenson.
My impact player for Warren Mott Marauders this year is C.J. Alanian. The senior wide receiver, standing 6'5", 230 pounds, is going to be a big target for Ben Philman to find this year.
My impact player this year for Warren Mott is the little guy, Tarico Cersei. Last year he had a big year. He's going to have another big year because he's going to be matched up oftentimes against other teams, linebackers, and guys that just flatly are not as fast as he is. He has great hands, great cutback ability, and he can take a small play into a big gain and touchdowns and points. I think he's going to do more of that this year, and he's my impact player.
The player to watch out for this year for the Mott Marauders is quarterback Ben Philman. He's a lot like Mark Colucci from Sterling Heights a couple years ago. He's very sleek on his speed. He can pick up big yards, and he also has a cannon of an arm, throwing for 2,700 yards last year and 24 touchdowns.
My player to watch this year for Warren Mott is another set of brothers, this time the Kelly brothers. Martez and Maurice Kelly, both of them had great years last year. Martez was an excellent wide receiver. Maurice was an excellent safety. But what to watch for this year is what both of them do on the side of the ball they're less known for. Maurice is going to be a running back for Warren Mott this year, and he could have a great year for them. It would really help and gain some consistency for them if he can chew up yards on the ground. Martez Kelly, known as a wideout last year, is also moving over And we'll start defensively in the Warrenmont secondary, and he needs to come up with a big season for them, compliment his brother back there to help Warrenmont shore up that defense and make a push for the playoffs.
I believe the Mount Marauders are the team to watch out for in the MAC White Division this year. I see them winning the MAC White Division, and they're going to finish 7-2 overall.
I think the Marauders are in for a historic season. I've got them winning the MAC White for a second straight year, just beating down all their competition within the White, going 7-2 overall in the regular season and making a little school history, getting at least one playoff win.
Or with the pitch to Doss. He makes another move outside. He's got a big hole. He's got some room down the sidelines. Breaks the tackle, and he goes in for the touchdown.
At Utica, last year was one to forget. The Chieftains got off to a bad start, and things only got worse as the orange and black were black and blue, mentally and physically beat up after a difficult 0-9 season, where they lost by an average of 27 points per game.
It was terrible. It's the worst mood I've ever been. I hate losing, and just losing 9 games, and it was just the worst experience ever.
You know, as a coach, a head coach, you know that you're going through a season that your chances are it wasn't looking real good. It didn't look good from, you know, as they got to like week 4 or 5, it just didn't look good. You know, chance of winning games got smaller and smaller.
I mean, by the end of the year, everybody was just like, I love football, and I didn't even want to go to practice. Nobody did.
The worst part of it was in school, just like everyone, you know, like down on us and everything. But I don't know, it just drives us more to have a better season this season.
So it's back to the drawing board for Coach Tony Smith and the Chieftains in 2009, as Utica has again reshuffled its philosophy, hoping to find a winning combination.
And we decided instead of just call ourselves varsity and JV, we're going more with a program system where we are splitting our practices, offense, defense, but we have coaches that are going to the JV one session and be in the varsity the next session. So like Brad Leach, for example, who's the offense coordinator quarterback coach for JV, he is the quarterback coach, and he'll be helping Todd Kane with the offense on the varsity.
Connor Heinbaugh is back at quarterback and appears ready to emerge as a team leader.
As I look now at Connor this year versus last year, he looks more confident, he's bigger, he's stronger, he's making better throws, he's getting rid of the football much quicker. So another year in the system, he's already better.
It's night and day. I mean, I went out 7-on-7 this year. I knew exactly what I was doing. I know exactly where I'm going to throw the ball before the ball's even snapped. Last year was so much of a learning experience for me, and this year I think I'm really going to be ready to make a difference in the ballgame.
Utica should have plenty of mobility at the QB position, as Southfield transfer Cedric Jones will back up Heinbaugh and see additional time at both running back and wide receiver. Glenn Doss returns in the backfield and was the team's biggest weapon last year, topping the 100-yard mark 3 separate times.
Doss, I think, in my opinion, is more of a bruiser back because he's a real strong guy to be a running back. So he's quick, and he's working hard every day.
Well, Glenn worked hard in the weight room this year. He benches over 300 pounds now, and he's squatting the house. I mean, he's just one of those kids that he's quiet. He doesn't say a whole lot. I can imagine Glenn out in the social world out there not saying a whole lot to anyone, but that's just the way he is. He's a great kid. The thing with Glenn is that he's one of those runners where he picks his spots. He's going to pick it and explode, pick it and explode. He's a perfect zone type back because he's patient and then he's exploding.
Adrian Harris should complement Doss in the backfield. Both will be running behind a revamped offensive line with exactly 0 starters back from last year's team.
Line, we're going to be very small. We're undersized, and that's something we're dealing with. And when you put us on the field versus other teams, we're going to be the smallest team in the red, white, and blue, guaranteed.
During the offseason, we trained so much. We worked out a lot, a whole lot. So I think our strength and athleticism is going to make up for our size.
Heinbaugh's wideout targets for this season will be Blake Krasinski, Martez Jarrett, Pat Krolchik, Chris Marshall, and transfer Savion Bolton.
We have a lot of experienced receivers coming back. They've had 2 years under the new system. They know what they're doing. I know what they're going to be doing. They know how I'm thinking. I know how they're thinking. We've connected over the summer.
Defensively, as one can imagine, it was a struggle last year as Utica followed up great quarters with disastrous ones.
We have to adjust to the game and just not to get so upset and worked up just because they scored, just bounce right back with another touchdown.
We can't give up big plays, and we can't get our heads down. It seemed like we gave a big play and went down the hill from there, and it was just bad. We can't do that this year.
Blake Brzezinski, Connor Heinbaugh, Chris Shutton, and Shane Van Fletteren lead a secondary that had its moments last season. The linebacking core is a team strength, with Pat Krolchik, Randy Noble, and Glenn Doss all returning. Brian Van Galloway, Ty Osborne, and Frank Abajude lack great size, but Utica looks to blitz more and utilize their team speed to try and make things happen defensively. While most teams are thinking playoffs this time of year, for Utica, one must learn to crawl before they can walk.
Let's find positives every week, and let's go out there and build on those positives. So if we had a great play on offense, let's have another one. Let's have another one. So let's get some positives. We had a great drive. Maybe we can get 2 or 3 great drives. We stop someone. Maybe we can get 2 or 3 stops. So we keep building and getting better. You know, and I'm not saying that this team's going to go out and get demolished. Our goal is to compete every week. Compete. And we, you know, last year we got blown out of quite a few games, and this year we're hoping to compete. We want to be tougher. We want to be tougher minded. We want to be able to go out and compete with teams.
If we beat our first opponent, then you know, it sets the tone for the season. So if we just come out strong and be consistent, then it sets the tone.
Well, I'm shooting pretty high. I want at least like 5 wins on my senior season, but I'm hoping if we don't give up, I'm pretty sure we can do it.
Playoffs. I don't expect anything less, honestly. The guys are working hard. We have much better attitudes, much better leadership, and I see 6 teams on our schedule that we can beat.
And the Chieftains' schedule looks a little something like this. Tough openers for them as they start out the season at Chippewa Valley, at Warren Mott, and at Grosse Pointe North. Then a few better chances for wins as they host Anchor Bay and Port Huron Northern. Then on the road against fellow UCS team Stevenson. Then they host Warren Cousino at L'Anse Creuse North and wrap up the regular season hosting Romeo.
My impact player for the Utica Chieftains this year is junior running back Glenn Doss. He's got low center of gravity. He's going to be hard to bring down. He bounces off tackles, and once he gets in the open field, look out, he's gone.
My impact player for the Utica Chieftains this year is quarterback, defensive back Connor Heinbaugh. I think Connor has the tools to be a successful quarterback at Utica. He's very mobile, which is important playing behind such a young offensive line. He's got good touch on his passes, and he's more comfortable with the offense this year. Defensively, he's going to have to come up big on that side of the ball too. I think he's got the willpower and the toughness to come up and make the big hit, and he can also make big plays defensively, coming up with interceptions, taking them the other way.
The player I believe you have to watch out for this year for Utica is someone a lot of people don't know about. He's junior transfer, Cedric Jones. Cedric Jones is going to be a backup quarterback, and when he's not doing that, he'll be either playing wide receiver, running back, or he'll be a defensive back. The guy's lightning quick, he's got great leaping ability, and I believe he's going to spearhead that Chieftain defense.
My player to watch this year for the Chieftains is going to be transfer Savion Bolton. When you go 0-9, a big reason why is because, simply put, you do not have playmakers. Utica thinks they found one in Bolton. He's a 6'3", 200-pound wideout who will also play on the defensive side of the ball, probably at defensive end. And if he is a playmaker, Utica is going to have someone who is dangerous and can take it to the house.
After a winless 2008, I believe the Chieftains will get into the win column this year. However, I think they are going to struggle yet, finishing the year at 2-7 overall.
Well, Utica winless last year, and I think all of us are hoping that they don't repeat the feat again this year, and quite honestly, I don't think they will. I don't think they're talking playoffs, but a modest improvement. 2-7 is my prediction for the Chieftains. Last year, the Stevenson Titans rebounded from 2 un-Titan-like seasons to become one of the most exciting teams in the state, putting up an astounding 42 points per game.
Oh my God, it was just ridiculous. Like, just all the stuff we could do on them, like run, pass, anything.
Last year, the way the season ended is very much unlike the way the season began. We began as an underdog, and we finished as a favorite. And you know, as you work your way through the seasons, your goal, if you're a high school football player, is to become a favorite.
They want to share the MAC-Red title before falling in the 3rd round of the playoffs to Lake Orion in what many are calling one of the greatest games in MHSAA history.
We came so far, worked so hard, and for our season to end for a 50-yard field goal, it's heartbreaking.
The people who played last year, I'm sure nobody has stopped thinking about that game. I mean, you come to our practice, and after practice, we're all sitting around in a circle talking about that game and saying how things like could have been differently, should have been differently. But I don't know, maybe this year, hopefully we don't have to talk about something like that again.
Optimism abounds as the Titans appear locked and loaded with talent this year as the team returns plenty of stars from last year's 10-2 season.
In my experience, and Kenny Fiat and Jerry LaJeunesse, we've been together for 35 years now, in our experience, when you have a returning perimeter offensively, you're better. I mean, you're just better.
Jason Fracassa leads the way, and after 2 rough seasons at quarterback, Fracassa exploded for over 3,200 yards and a school record 34 passing touchdowns while completing nearly 60% of his passes last year. Another year like that, and he'll be rewriting the MHSAA career record books.
He just got stronger, he got smarter. I mean, he knew our offense better. But the biggest thing, too, is just his own maturity and self-confidence. You know, when you're a freshman or a sophomore trying to lead a bunch of veterans, it's hard. You're not really the boss out there. You're just pulling the trigger.
I mean, Coach Fiat and Coach Byer are the ones that really have helped me grow to where I am now. And they've been there every single step of the way, looking over film, you know, going through the playbook, asking me what would help me be a better quarterback. And just that, with those coaches helping me, I think is the main reason I've grown.
Our 10th grade year, when I started with him, he wasn't that comfortable with the offense and stuff. But as we grew and got the offense how it was last year, he became a lot more comfortable.
Speaking of records, wide receiver DJ Mershman is back for a 3rd year on varsity after catching 68 balls for 1,445 yards and a school record 21 touchdowns in 2008.
Well, I mean, me and DJ, we're like best friends off the field, best friends on the field. So, I mean, that right there is going to make it easier for us to communicate and to see what we're each thinking off the field, on the field, out on the bench, because we can all read the defenses now that we've been playing for 3 years, and so we can see what the defense is doing and how to, you know, capitalize on the mistakes.
Joining Mershman in the receiving corps is Division I Bowling Green recruit Marcus Bierum, who himself had over 700 yards and 5 touchdowns last year. James Denowitz should be the 3rd receiver. The backfield consists of Mike Kirksey, Mark Kowalczyk, and returning starter Justice Wright. The versatile senior is back after a junior season in which he ran for over 900 yards and 12 touchdowns while catching 35 balls for 450 yards and another pair of scores.
Justice, when you see him play, explosiveness, and he probably has the best juke moves I've ever seen. So he's going to make the first person miss almost every time. And then he's a hard guy. He's a hard, tough runner, so he's not going to go down easily.
They don't know who to double team. They can't really double team anybody because they double team me, got Marcus or Justice or always someone else.
Giving the Titans offense time to do its thing will be the O-line, led by returners Mike Wesner and Corey Stone. Adam Crow, Sean Hudson, Tyler Meisinger, and Scouts Inc. 3-star prospect Carl Davis, who stands at 6 foot 5 inches and is 300 pounds, will also start.
We got a great line, and you know, we don't really care about it. You know, we just want to win games, whatever it takes. You know, and we just want to show everybody that we can come out and get the job done. You know, Jason, DJ, everybody comes and pats us on the back and stuff like that if we do something right.
We need to get Jason's trust back because he didn't
he was like happy feet in the backfield when he was going back in his pass drops. But now, you know, he trusts us that we can get the job done. And I mean, he's just going to set up. He's going to be able to know that he can take his time and look for his receivers. And that's a big part that's going to open up the passing game. And then, I mean, we're going to be able to move people with our big offensive line, you know, this year.
Defensively, the Titans have a few more question marks. Davis and Stone are back to anchor a talented defensive line, while playmaker Charlie Walker packs a punch at linebacker. John Sulik, Mo Saleh, and Kowalczyk will all have to step up and provide consistent tackling. David Brown is the lone returning starter in the secondary, although playmakers Biram, Wright, Mershman, and a cast of others will be back there. Brown is also a very capable kicker for Stevenson. Rick Bice says this might be the best he's felt about a team during his 35 years of coaching going into a season. But he knows state titles aren't won on paper, and they aren't handed out in August.
People think you're going to be good. Our motto is prove it. Prove it then. If they think you're going to be good, if you think you're going to be good, prove it.
We got to prove ourselves no matter what happens. We can't go in knowing that we're thinking we're going to win or anything. We still got to go in every down, play every down like it's our last.
We still got to come out and work. You know, we don't feel like we can just come out because we Stevenson and just win the game. We still got to prove it, like Coach Ba said.
Coach Ba has been coaching for like 35 years, and he's been so close. Just gets it taken away, so we're hoping we can get him a ring this year.
Like, I don't know how to explain how much we want to win this year. It seems like our whole senior year is riding on football. That's the only thing we care about.
And looking at the Stevenson schedule, they open up on the road against Cosno, and then the big battle against Eisenhower comes early in week 2 this year. That's followed up by another rivalry game as it's the Battle of Runkle Field against Ford. Then they go on the road against Grosse Pointe South, return home to face Dakota in a big one, then host Utica, go to Chippewa Valley, then another big one October 16th at Romeo. They end the regular season with an intriguing matchup against Warren Mott.
I believe the impact player for Stevenson this year is quarterback Jason Fracassa. He's starting his 4th year at quarterback. He has to lead this Titan team. The last 3 years, he's gained a step each year. Last year, taking him 1 step away from the state semifinals. I believe if the Titans are to make it to the state championship game this year, Jason Fracassa has to lead them.
My impact player for the Stevenson Titans this year is easy, DJ Mershman. This kid is one of the best receivers Macomb County, maybe the state, has ever seen in high school football. He had a phenomenal year last year, not just getting wide open catches. He runs routes very well, he gets open, and he makes the tough catch in traffic. He is outstanding at winning the 50-50 balls and wrestling away jump balls from opponents. He's primed for another year, big year this year. He will also contribute defensively, and I just can't see how this guy does not have a Division I scholarship yet.
The one player to watch out for Stevenson, I believe, this year is senior Carl Davis. The big fella at nearly 300 pounds will be a start on the offensive line where he'll open up some big holes for those Titan running backs. And on defense, he will surely be one of the guys that people will be running away from.
My player to watch this year for the Stevenson Titans is on the defensive side of the ball, where they have basically their only questions, and that is senior linebacker Charlie Walker. Cole Smith and Mattingly have left for graduation. That means Charlie Walker, the lone returning starting linebacker, is going to have to step up. He's going to have to do more than just read and react. He's going to have to choreograph the defense and continue to make plays. If he comes up with a big year this year, Stevenson could be thinking state title.
I believe this Stevenson team is capable of winning a Division I state championship this year. However, going through the tough MAC Red Division, it's hard to go unscathed. I have Stevenson winning the MAC Red Division and finishing 8-1 overall.
Well, what is not to like at Stevenson this year? I think Rick Bai and his troops are primed for a big time, maybe a state title season here at Stevenson, but it is not going to be easy. They've got 3 legitimate, very difficult games that they cannot look past during the regular season. Romeo, Dakota, and Warrenmont are all going to be ready for the Titans, but I still think Stevenson has enough offensively, and I think they'll get better defensively to have a legendary season. I think they'll run the table in the regular season 9-0 and go deep, deep into the playoffs. At Sterling Heights, the Stallions had quite a roller coaster ride of a season in 2008. On the high side, Sterling Heights went undefeated in the MAC Blue, bringing home their first league title since 1998. As for the lows, Sterling Heights couldn't find any success outside of the division, losing a heartbreaker to Marine City in Week 1 and getting steamrolled in the regular season finale against Clintondale with the playoffs on the line.
Winning the MAC Blue last year, I mean, it was kind of bittersweet because we won our division, but yet we don't go to the playoffs.
When the ride was over, Dave Cutlip, the school's all-time winningest coach, stepped down, while all-county players Cody Silk and Patrick Harris both transferred to Warren De La Salle.
Last year was a little upsetting because even though, yeah, we did win the MAC Blue, there were a lot of games we came like 5 points or less from winning, which probably would have put us into the playoffs.
So a new era begins as Brent Widows, in his 4th year with the program, moves over from the defensive coordinator spot to take the reins as head coach.
They know me and I know them. They know my expectations. There's still a learning period. There's that learning curve. You're always going to get that, I think. However, I know where they're coming from. I've seen them since, these seniors especially, I've seen them since they were freshmen as well.
Many of us have been around him since freshman year. We know him, so we can build like that bond with him. He's real great with everybody.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this, and I think what makes it really exciting is that the kids are great. These group of young men are top-notch.
Widows' first challenge is to tighten up a defense that allowed 21 points per game and far too many times gave up big plays late in big games. Corey Robertson is a heavy hitter and will have to set the tone defensively for the Stallions.
He knows the defense. He knows it inside and out. And what's nice about having Corey playing that free safety spot, he can see the field, he can get sideline to sideline, and he can make calls and adjustments based on an offensive look.
Jeff Kazumplik and Frank Sanders also figure to have prominent roles in the Stallions secondary. The linebacking core took their lumps last year, but Widows thinks returning starters Jason Visotsky and David Palmaville, along with Lee Lazarecki, should make a big improvement and be a team strength. Florian Dita, Justin Tallow, and returning starter Chris Folden will lead a D-line that must improve against the run.
We're hoping to be more aggressive and fly to the football and make some interceptions and fumbles.
Mario Marana and Mark Tarazi will share kicking duties with punter Nathan Sanchez. Offensively, the Stallions had little trouble putting points on the board last year, and despite some key losses, the offense figures to be a strength again this season. Kyle Veith, finally done with the timeshare at QB, will hope to build on games like his 4-touchdown performance in last year's opener against Marine City.
He is a no-nonsense, go to work, nose to the grind kind of kid. Exceptionally smart, over a 4.0 GPA. He knows the plays inside and out. He's the kind of kid, he can get knocked down 20 times and he'll get back up and be like, I love this game still. Don't worry, guys. We'll get it this time. Always positive and optimistic.
We feel pretty comfortable because he's played varsity and he's played before, and just he really when he throws the ball, he's really smart where he throws it, and he knows what to do with the ball.
Jeff Kazumplik is back at wide out. The sure-handed receiver had 330 yards and 4 touchdowns last year.
He just works hard, catches everything, no matter what comes his way. He'll dive for anything, just go up and get anything.
Joining him in the receiving corps are Mike Arabo, Corey Robertson, Mike Visconti, and the multi-talented Jason Visotsky.
Jay is he's just an athlete. I don't know any other way of putting it. I think, you know, it's great because Jason Visotski and Corey Robertson both are like the same kid. They can play slots, they can play running back, they could play fullback, they can play receivers. You know, you saw today Jay was getting some reps at quarterback. You know, it's just he's an athlete, and athletes find a way to play.
Perhaps no returning piece is bigger or more important than junior running back Horace Lane. He led the team with nearly 1,000 yards and 8 rushing touchdowns his sophomore season.
He's special. I don't think that's, you know, he can run the ball. He's very, very smooth. He's very instinctual. He's not robotic by any means. And a lot of running backs sometimes say, well, there's the hole. I got to hit the. Horace isn't that type of runner. He runs with what's given to him, and he makes something happen, sometimes out of nothing. And he's quick. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. He's got fast feet, and he's fast. When he gets in the open field, he's hard to catch.
Oh, he brings a lot of skills. He's really helpful in the backfield because, you know, it's mainly the lineman's job to open up the holes. But I mean, the littlest hole he squeezes through. He finds a way to just squeeze through and just run down the field and make plays.
The Stallions are quite pleased to have 5 offensive linemen with starting experience to help provide stability. Dan Fleming, Chris Folden, Chris Gobert, Amindi Gruwal, and Florian Dita will lead Sterling Heights in the trenches. The Stallions would like to get off on the right foot in the Widows era and avoid another near playoff miss. Sterling wouldn't mind another MAC Blue title, but the players and coaches have their eyes set on something more.
You know, I think going to the playoffs I want that more than anything. I mean, I think it would be really awesome if we could just make it to the playoffs.
I think our first goal is to make the playoffs. Then our second goal, repeat the MAC championship. And third, go as far as we can get.
You know, I really believe that every coach, no matter what group of kids are going through their program, believes at this time of the year, anything's possible. Playoffs, you know, you're not coaching just to be an 0-9 team. You're coaching because you see a bigger picture and you believe that your team can do that. In this particular instance, this is a special group. I wouldn't just necessarily say because of their athletic ability, but their loyalty to Sterling Heights High School and their loyalty to a program. And I think that has a lot to say about character. They've been faced with quite a bit of adversity, and they've bounced back repeatedly. Bounced back, and they're still here going to work every day and working hard.
A tiring schedule for Sterling Heights this year as they open up at Marine City and at Port Huron Northern before hosting 4 in a row as they host Grosse Pointe South, Eisenhower, Cosno, and Fraser. Then it's back up to Port Huron to take on the Big Reds, then home against Roseville, and they finish out their season at Clintdale.
My impact player for Sterling Heights Stallions this year is running back Horace Lane. The junior running back is a game breaker. If he can get onto the open field, he's going to be hard to bring down. He's going to score a lot of points for Stallions. However, he must stay healthy.
My impact player for Sterling Heights is Jason Visotski. Jason is a multifunctional player that's going to help the Stallions everywhere he plays on the field. Defensively, he's a linebacker who can make plays and get interceptions as well as make tackles. He's got some speed as well. On the offensive side of the ball, he's a big-time middle-of-the-field wide receiver for Sterling Heights, and he also may see a little bit of time at quarterback in that Wildcat formation. So look for him to have a big all-around year for Sterling Heights.
The player to watch out for the Sterling Heights Stallions this year, I believe, is defensive back Corey Robertson. Corey Robertson is going to do double duty for the Stallions this year. He's going to be playing a little bit of wide receiver on offense, but on defense, he's going to make his impact. His teammates and his coaches refer to him as Hollywood, and Hollywood's got to show up every night if the Stallions are going to have success.
My player to watch at Sterling Heights is quarterback Kyle Veith. Finally out of a timeshare with the reins to himself at QB, they're looking for big things from Veith this year. He's going to have to stretch the field with receivers Jeff Kazumplik and some of their other wideouts to prevent opponents from stacking the box and just lining up trying to stop Horace Lane.
The Sterling Heights Stallions, under first-year coach Brent Widows, might find it a rough going through the MAC Blue Division this year. I have them finishing the season 3-6 overall.
Despite Sterling Heights losing a lot of weapons offensively, I still feel they have enough on that side and the defensive side of the ball to be real competitive this year. The problem for Brent Widows and company is the schedule. Very unkind to them this year. They have to make 2 trips to Port Huron and 1 to Marine City. That's going to be tough for any high school football team to deal with. I think when it's all said and done, Sterling Heights will be close, but in the end, sitting out and watching others play in the postseason, as I have the Stallions finishing at 5-4.
I truly believe the MAC Red Division is one of the best in the state, and this year should be no different. My MAC Red predictions are as follows. I have Stevenson first, Dakota second, Romeo third, Eisenhower fourth, Chippewa Valley fifth, and Fort 2 sixth.
My MAC Red predictions look a little something like this. I've got Stevenson victorious for a second straight year. Dakota with that great defense will finish second. Romeo third, Ben Brown, a host of talented wide receivers, and quarterback Jacob Elsini, the former Chieftain, will lead the way for them. They'll be very dangerous. Then I've got a little bit of a surprise. Henry Ford II finishing fourth, Eisenhower fifth, and Chippewa Valley finishing sixth.
I believe the MAC White Division is a one-horse race, and that horse is Warren Mott. I have the Marauders winning the division, followed by Cousino, Grosse Pointe North, L'Anse Creuse North, Utica, and Anchor Bay.
In the MAC White, I like Warren Mott to take the title for a second year in a row, followed closely by Grosse Pointe North, who has a pretty good team, then an improving Cousino team, followed by the Utica Chieftains, and the 2 teams they get victories over this year, Anchor Bay and L'Anse Creuse North.
This year, the battle for the MAC Blue Division Championship could be a wild one. In the end, I believe Port Huron will win the division. They will be followed by Grosse Pointe South, Sterling Heights, Fraser, Roseville, and Port Huron Northern.
In the MAC Blue, many people will say the battle between Sterling Heights and Port Huron will decide the Blue title, but I'm going to go a little off the radar here. I think the Blue is going south to Roseville. They've got a good quarterback and plenty of wide receiver weapons to choose from, so I've got Roseville winning the division, followed by Sterling Heights, then Port Huron. Grosse Pointe South will be competitive as well, then Fraser and Port Huron Northern. Well, that does it for another edition of Sports Timeout. This could be a very exciting, very memorable season for a lot of athletes and teams. Get out there and enjoy the games, but until next time, thanks for watching. We'll see you then.